one of the two of us thinks that Knicks Go is going to be able to walk to the Breeders' Cup Classic. What else is going on? Yo, what up, everybody? It's Trust the Profits. We're going to do a quick recap on what happened at the 4-Star Dave at Saratoga. We're going to look at the Pacific Classic coming up this weekend for the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series. And we're going to talk a little top 10 Breeders' Cup Classic contenders. Joining us today, Mr. Saratoga himself, Vinny Blonde. What up, Vinny?
Not much. How are you doing?
Doing well. A little jealous. I haven't been able to make it to Saratoga yet this year, but I hear you've been out there once or twice, or maybe
I think I've got enough for the both of us, honestly.
Well,
I've gone a lot.
It's a good place to go. Before we get started, let's talk about BUSR. BUSR is a basically an all-encompassing gambler's haven online, including horse racing, casino games, basically any type of future bets, any type of wagers you want to make for the degenerate in you. BUSR, thanks for their sponsorship. They've been treating us really well, helping us out with some contests. BUSR, check them out. The link is in the description. All right. So, Vinny, first off, let's talk about what happened in the 4-Star Dave on Saturday this past weekend. We had the 3-year-olds and up turf race. I think we had a little bit of a shocker there. This was a win and you're in challenge series race for the Breeders' Cup. What did you see there? Were you shocked? I know we didn't have Got Stormy on top. Here's the results.
Yeah, I didn't have Got Stormy on top either. I was actually all in on Set Piece. Mm-hmm. I really like Set Piece, and the break wasn't good. Got Stormy just ran a fantastic race. I don't know where it came from. She hasn't run that good in quite some time, but I mean, if she's back, she's going to be, I mean, besides the Europeans that might come over, I mean, this mile on the turf for older horses, like boys and girls, isn't that strong, it seems like now. So, I mean, she could easily be the best one if she can repeat that effort. She won easily. I mean, I think that was the impressive thing. Like, she had been in a couple like close finishes out of her last like 4 or 5 races. She was there in a couple, but I mean, I
actually got pulled out of the room for a second. Had some obligations going on. Walked back into the room and I see the 6 horse on top. I'm like, that's Got Stormy, and it was pulling out, winning easily. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I must be watching a replay of the wrong race. Like you said, Got Stormy, everything. If you're a numbers grinder, everything pointed that Got Stormy is going in the opposite direction as far as with the tail end of the playing the back 9, if you will. And then this thing makes it look easy. We also had Set Piece. We had Raging Bull. Obviously, I think those two were the morning or the post time favorites. Set Piece was okay, but Got Stormy was awesome. Congratulations to Tyler, TG, and the boys. Awesome run. Like you said, I mean, could be a legit comeback tour this year heading into the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, if depending on what Europeans come over, I mean, I'd run her. Even Blowout ran 4th first time against the boys. It wasn't a bad effort. The pace kind of collapsed at the end, which allowed Got Stormy to kind of pull away there. Even Daddy is a Legend finishing 5th. I mean, all 3. I mean, obviously Got Stormy won, but the other two fillies and mares finished in front of Raging Bull, who,
that was
he was supposed. Everyone, it was kind of like, oh, has he finally turned the corner? Because that's been the knock on Raging Bull the last couple of years, is that like he looks really good and then he throws out a head scratcher, and he's just a hard horse to trust, because at his best he can win easily, like he did in the Makers at Keeneland, I believe.
Yeah.
But then you get a head scratcher like this, where I mean, the pace wasn't like, pace was okay. It's not like it was like a crawl, and like he just didn't pick up his feet.
Yep, that was a $27 win. That was about a 12-1 effort by Got Stormy. So if you had a piece of that, congratulations. I did not. I had everybody else involved in that try and super, and left Got Stormy out. I just thought that the trends were showing that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I was.
What are you going to do?
Right, exactly. And like I'd be interested in playing set piece back. The break wasn't good, and yeah, he broke about 2 lengths behind the field, and he made up a ton of ground late, but just couldn't get there. But I'd be interested in playing him back next time against a similar field.
Yep,
but
you're going to see a lot of these horses gearing back up for of course, Got Stormy is now in with the Breeders' Cup, the turf. So I don't know. It's like you said, it's hard to say what's coming with Got Stormy, because I would have thought that the end was near for her, and apparently not. So we could see some excitement down the road later in the year. Now let's move into the Breeders' Cup Classic. We have the Pacific Classic at Del Mar this weekend, which is going to be a 1.25 mile dirt race. Obviously, some familiar names all year. One familiar name, which is probably the bust of the century, early in the Triple Crown Trail, was Rock Your World. We have some other familiar names: Express Train, Tizamagician, Dr. Post, Royal Ship, Sheriff Brown, Cupid's Claws, and Tripoli, all pre-registered. We don't have a post position draw yet. Obviously, it's Monday. So what's your first impression looking at this field?
My first impression is that I don't think Todd Pletcher is sending Dr. Post there to lose. That is, and I don't like Dr. Post at all.
Me neither.
But I don't see the logic of him sending him out there this weekend if he wasn't sitting on a huge race. I've thought he was a one-turn horse this whole career, so the fact that I'm going to land on him and going 1.25 miles kind of is like but
yeah, man.
I like Tizamagician. I think he potentially try to take them gate the wire. Express Train is okay. He's not great. I won't play Rock Your World ever.
That's how I feel. That's what I was going to say before we get too far in depth here. Rock Your World was a Derby Trail honey. Everybody was it was actually quite the boomer bust type mentality with that horse. A lot of people were committing their life savings, calling me an idiot, calling everybody stupid if you don't bet this horse, blah blah blah. Or you had other people that thought the horse had no shot going in. Horse had a terrible run at the Kentucky Derby, had a equally bad run second route at the Triple Crown. Looked bad both times at the Belmont, finished 6th. I don't know. I don't think this horse, and again, it's one of those deals where maybe it comes out and shocks the world and beats everybody by 10, but I don't see any reason where I could put my money on this horse. Rock Your World.
I think he's a turf horse. I still think he's a turf horse, and I'd be interested to see if he stays in here. I think Sadler's got the one on the other one too. Tripoli, I think, is his other one.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they both ran. So I would not be shocked if one of them is entered. So I believe there's a turf race that day too. So I won't be shocked if one of them or both of them are cross entered, and he splits them up. But I'm not. I think he's a turf. I'll play him if he jumps back on turf. I'll give him a shot. But his last 2 dirt races have just been so terrible that he's not worth playing against a field like this, in my opinion.
Yep. And let's be honest, this is not the most impressive field I've ever seen at this point. No. A win and you're in Breeders' Cup berth here. I don't know. I just don't see anybody who's going to be a threat to win the Breeders' Cup Classic in this race. But with that said, there's a few that's going to make it an interesting race to bet.
Yeah, I mean, this was the original race that they were going to point Hot Rod Charlie to, who I think probably would have been the heavy favorite, but all of a sudden, he gets a minor setback, so they're skipping the Pacific Classic. don't really know what's going on with Medina Spirit. So there's really not much left on the West Coast. It's all everything is on the East Coast. Or all the the top horses are on the East Coast right now. So there's really not much left out west. So like you said, I mean, one of these horses will automatically be in, but
and let's be honest, outside of a just absolutely dominant performance, I don't think any of these horses are going to stand out, even if they win fairly easily here, because I mean, I don't know what they're up against. So I think you got 2 or 3 of them that could be considered in the bottom of what we have in our top 10 Breeders' Cup contenders, but none of them are in the top half of the top 10. With that said, let's talk a little bit about who in the Breeders' Cup Classic, who are the top 10 contenders at this point. I think you had mentioned, and I did a little teaser on the intro, Knicks Go. Vinny, you think that's a shoe-in right now at this point? Obviously, there's a long way to go, but Knicks Go looking like he's already got the berth. It's kind of his race to lose at this point.
Yeah, my issue, I mean, I'm not a fan of him at all. I just don't really see how anybody beats him, especially at Del Mar. If the race was somewhere else, I could see it. But you got a track that usually plays towards speed, and you got the front ends, you got the fastest early router in the country who just put he just put a solid. I mean, it was only a 5-horse field, but he put those other 4. He destroyed that Whitney field. I mean, in my opinion, the 2 hopes are if Hot Rod Charlie could really stick with him. Okay, maybe he has a shot. And if Essential Quality can prove not to just be a grinder, but he seems like he's a grinder. I don't see anybody really who's going to stay with him early. And unless for some reason that track is not playing towards speed that day, which it usually does on big days, I just don't see how anybody catches him.
So you're saying if EQ does his normal tactic of running 3 or 4 off stalking pace, he's probably not going to get there with Knicks Go. And I fear the same thing, a fan of Essential Quality, who I probably will end up betting just with my heart instead of my brain. I think that's probably going to be the situation. Any chance that Essential Quality stalks his position 3 or 4 back, 2 or 3 back, and makes a heroic run at the end, because we all have seen how he likes to run head to head like that.
He definitely could, and I think I personally he's the number 2 on my list because of that. He's definitely talented enough. My main worry is that it's Del Mar, and you just don't usually see that at Del Mar, at least in those big races. And usually on those big days, the track is usually a little souped up, so it's hard for horses to come from way back. So it seems like it's one of those positions that going towards the end of the turn, into the stretch. If Essential Quality is not within a length or so of the lead, he's just not gonna. Knicks Go is just gonna have too much left to keep going and catch him.
Yep, I think that's the danger of Knicks Go right here. So, spoiler alert: we both have Knicks Go. Essential Quality 1 and 2. It sounds like you're probably leaning on Hot Rod Charlie for 3, which I am as well. That's the best horse of all time that's never won anything major yet. Outside of those 3, I think there's a huge fall off, and I think you probably feel the same way. I don't know where you're at on Maxfield. Do you think that one off last out was where Knicks Go again? That Knicks Go with ridiculous performance there made everybody look bad, but Maxfield was second of that field. Do you think Maxfield is still in your top 5?
He's number 5 right now. I mean, I just don't he didn't run bad, but he's definitely a horse that's going to need some help if he's going to win the Classic. I mean, I won't be surprised if he comes back and wins a race that doesn't have Knicks Go, because he definitely I think that effort was much better than his effort in the the Big Cap earlier this year out in California. But I mean, he was still not nowhere near. Yeah, he was nowhere near winning. A non-threatening second.
So who else is in your top 5? We have Maxfield at 4, and we have Max Player at 5. And Max Player is, again, this is just a huge drop off from those top 3. Or even if you throw Maxfield at 4, who do you have at 4 then?
I have Mystic Guide, who he had a setback, so he hasn't. Or no, he ran in the. I forget where he just ran.
He
Didn't
ran.
win though. I think he
No,
lost.
he ran second or third.
Yeah, he ran like second or third to Max Player, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He's another one. I just think he's still pretty good. I'll give him that one race off that Dubai trip to see if he can bounce back. But again, like I don't think he's gonna. He's another one. He needs something perfect to happen to probably catch one of the front runners.
All right, so we've agreed the top three is kind of a step above the rest. You got a couple outliers at 4 and 5. The bottom half of the top 10, I'm just going to run through who we have real quick. Still threats in our eyes: Latruska, the filly, Express Train, Country Grammar, Tizamagician. Life is Good back on the radar for us, mainly because of the recent breaking news about Mandaloon being pulled out of the. Sounds like the rest of the year. Is that what you're hearing, Vinny?
Yeah, it looks like Mandaloon's going to miss the rest of the year with a foot injury. So he's even if he comes back, he's probably not going to make the Classic.
Yeah, that's big news. We had him at number 5, I believe, last update, and that's sounds like he's off the list for now, at least. Maybe there's some kind of big comeback, but it doesn't sound like it. So who's the back half of your top 10 real quick, just to give people some outliers that maybe you can get a future bet on or something like that?
I have Happy Saver, Tacitus, Silver State, Dr. Post, and Tizamagician. Yeah. I'm not really feeling great about any of them, honestly. Silver State he finished third, and I don't know how much better he really could have done against Knicks Go there.
He was fine in that race.
I'm going to guess he goes to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Happy Saver, he seems like a horse that's going to need kind of like Mystic Guide. Will probably need something to be perfect for him to win, but he's talented enough. I like Tacitus still. I just want to see him run it one more time at 1.25 miles. I think that's the distance he wants, and it seems like every 1.25 mile race he gets, he runs very well in. But his other races, he doesn't. So I'm assuming he won't get a win until he won't get a win leading up to the Classic if they decide to run him. And then the Dr. Post and Tizamagician, I think, are the two to beat in the Pacific Classic. So,
all right, gun to your head. Let's close it out. Gun to your head, Pacific Classic. You got $100 to save your life. Who you betting on a win bet? Tizamagician or Dr. Post?
I'm going Dr. Post. Pletcher, I feel like Pletcher doesn't ship to the West Coast often, at least this time of year. So the fact that he is with Dr. Post kind of, in my opinion, says that this horse is ready.
And I think he's going to get a decent price with Dr. Post too. I think a lot of the money is going to be Rocker World, for whatever reason, became a sexy name in the Triple Crown. A lot of people are going to be on Tizamagician Express Train as well. So Dr. Post might bring you a few bucks on that. Who's your second choice? And then we'll get out of here.
I'd say Tizamagician just because he can run all day. He's a horse. He's probably going to go to the Breeders' Cup Marathon, regardless of unless he absolutely airs this field. I can't imagine them trying to do anything other than the marathon. Yeah. So I figure he's just going to be there either way. So I mean, even if you're playing tries and supers and stuff, I feel like Tiz is definitely a must use, even if you're not going to use him to win, because I feel like there's a better chance of him finishing in the second 2 through 4 than anybody else actually has of winning.
There you go. So, you've heard it here first. Anything else to close out? Any what's the most ridiculous thing you've seen at Saratoga this year so far?
The most ridiculous thing I've seen at Saratoga this year? Oh boy.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's on the spot.
Fan wise or bet wise, or just rumors that you've heard of other people winning or losing. Anything come to mind? Looks like it's been a fun season, and I'm jealous.
It's been a very fun season. I mean, probably bet wise, the most ridiculous thing I saw, which I mean, it was a good ridiculous, is that I saw somebody play a Maracuja, just single Maracuja on top in the coaching club over Malathat. The single, yeah, and that got home by a nose, which
Yeah, that was.
I still don't understand how that happened. I'm very excited to see Malafat run back in the Alabama because I think she's just going to air that field in the Alabama.
That crushed a lot of people's souls. That
Yeah,
race.
yeah. So that will be. I think that was probably the most ridiculous bet I've seen.
Hey man, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully they were one of the few to take a bunch of money out of there that day. So, all right, Vinny Blonde, thanks, man. Appreciate you stopping by. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, man.
See you.
See you.